Nice to meet you all. My name is Danny Mancino, and I'm the Vice President of Data Solutions here at PropMix. I had scheduled this meeting for existing users of our MCA platform to be more of a walkthrough and a training. I will touch on certain things as we move along. Let's get started. So if you're here because you'd signed up for MCA either directly or maybe you'd signed up through ACI or one of our other partners. So you probably have already come into the application. You've probably already seen some of the features of the application. So I'm not gonna dive into the nitty gritty and how everything really came together on this call, but I'll be happy to schedule a call individually, separately with anybody that would like to have a one-on-one conversation. So Market Conditions Advisor is our platform. So what is Market Conditions Advisor? It's a platform where you can come in and essentially with one search identify all of the information that you need, find all of the comparable sales, get the 1004 market conditions, the 1004 MC inventory analysis. The data will come from public records as well as MLS data. There's also a regression model built in, image labeling, all kinds of interesting stuff. So you log in simply over here. If you're a user coming in from one of our other partners like ACI, you would probably not even see this screen, but I would urge you, if you are an ACI user, to occasionally come in or possibly even start here, because then you'd be able to go back into ACI and reopen your order or reopen your report from within your dashboard. And I'll show you how you would get to that. So let's just jump in over here. So once you click on your login, I mentioned the dashboard. So you would have a dashboard available to you. You can come in and select from any of the orders that you would previously run, select from that order, click on edit, and it'll bring up the information that you'd be looking for. To start an order, you would typically come in here, enter an order ID, enter the address for the property that you're looking for, and as you're typing, we'll bring up the Google address verification or address validation for you. We give you the ability to actually look at the property details or look at the listing sheet right from the search page without even having to run your search. You'd be able to pull up a listing sheet just like you see here. So this listing sheet would give you all of the information that would be on the listing. It'll also show you where there's differences between MLS data and public record data, where there might be a mismatch. So you'll see that there's different shadings, different colors down below here. One of the things that you'll notice is there's a lot of times there's a pretty big difference between what the MLS and the public record shows. So just to give you an idea of how this would all look. This is all helpful because when you're actually building your search, you would at least know what the details of the subject property would be. Property types, you can select from various property types. If you're working in an area and you know that there's a lot of mislabeled properties from public record, which does happen. Where I live here in Freehold, New Jersey, condominiums are often called single family. Mobile homes are often called single family. So, you want to make sure that you're searching within your market properly. We also bring forward active, sold, and pending listings. We'll be adding additional listing statuses, but these are the ones that our typical customers are looking for. Time frame, you would search, it'll default to 12 months. So you're going to be looking, if you're searching today, it's going to be 12 months back from today. We're building into the application a school district filter. So currently you'll see where it says it's only available for the state of New York. It was just added to our application. New York is the beta. And in a couple of weeks or about a month or so, we're going to be making it available to the rest of the country. You have the option of searching for properties that were listed between a certain time frame, closed between a certain time frame, bedroom ranges, bathroom ranges, and so on. Radius search or polygon search. For radius search, it typically will default to 2 miles, but you can go as high as you'd like. Or if you had a specific fractional mileage that you wanted to enter in here, you'd be able to put in, let's say, a half a mile and search by a half a mile or a quarter of a mile. Just make sure you add the leading 0 before the decimal. Once you've entered the search criteria that you're looking for, you'd click on search. It's pretty simple. And once you get into your search results, let's get in here. You'll notice that I had already previously run a search, so I'm going to just proceed with the existing search. Now, again, if you're a user that's coming in from one of our single sign-on partners like ACI, if you try to enter a search that was already run, it will alert you just like that, so this way you're not paying for an additional search. Everything that I'm showing you here, you've got 30 days to work within this application before it becomes billable again. So if you start an order today and you came back in 29 days from now to run an update on that order, as you'll see up here, there's an update option where you could just refresh the comps. You may start an appraisal today, and then before you send it off to the bank, you might want to just run a refresh on the data to make sure that some of the properties that may have been active, maybe they're currently pending, or maybe a property that was pending is now sold. So you can rerun that right before you send it off. Okay, so you'll see the results that have come back here. I'll get into that in a moment, but I just wanted to show you that we do have the inventory analysis built into the application. So you'll see that in the 2 mile radius and 12-month time frame, I found 430 results in total. So that would include pending, off market, any kind of activity that took place in that 12-month time frame, and 2 miles. But it is focusing on 54 active properties and 187 sold properties. And you see how all of the information lays out. And it's using and following all of the guidelines set forth by Fannie and Freddie. Also within the application is the value adjustments page. So the value adjustments page gives you the ability to come in selecting some of your comps. You'd have to select a minimum of 3 comparables. And then you can come in here and click on Get Recommendations. What this is doing is it's looking at the pool of results that came back, everything that came back, and it's running the regression on the available data within that pool of results. So if there were 200 properties that came back, but only 100 of those properties had enough information to generate the analysis, it will then give you the information based on those properties that were available. So you'll see within the model that there was a little over 200 properties. It used 141, and it used 7 variables for the regression. So you'll see those variables here. And any one of these that are highlighted, you have the ability to come in and actually overwrite what was there, or you can use exactly what was in there, as well as something that may not have given you a number just based on the available information, but we can still come in here and enter whatever the number might be. You'll see how it automatically changes down below. Okay. So moving forward, you could also come in if it turns out that there's anything missing from the listing. that will give you the ability to run a similarity score. We have built in the comparison, as I showed you before, the public record as compared to the listing data. The information that you would see in these boxes initially would be the listing data. And if there was anything that you wanted to overwrite, you'd have the ability to just click on the field and it'll automatically insert the necessary information. You also could come in if you know that this property has been improved and maybe public records hasn't caught up, you can enter your own information and that'll give you the ability to overwrite the similarity scoring. And then similarity scoring would be off to the right here. And you can sort by the similarity score any one of the columns that you see that you've got the option up above. So you can come select the comps that you're looking for. And one of the things you'll notice in these shaded areas, the shaded areas are indicating properties that we have identified as possible flips. So properties that have possibly flipped, let me come back up here to show you something. So properties that have possibly flipped are properties that we've identified that sold and then were either relisted or sold again within a 24-month time frame. We will be adding a flip filter into our searches as well. So this way you can say, I only want to see properties that have flipped within the last 6 months or within the last 12 months. But I'll show you a property over here that's flipped. As I mentioned before, you can pull up a listing sheet for the subject property, but you could also pull up a listing sheet for any one of the comps, and that would all be included in the same order. So if you went and you ran a comp search to bring up all of the available listings, if you really chose to come in and print out a listing sheet for each and every one of those comps, you could do that. But you'll see this property here, we're identifying it as a flip. And you'll notice in the listing history, the property was listed in February, sold by the end of February, relisted again in April, and then sold again a month later. So you want to look at that information that happened on that flip. We have a side-by-side view, and you could actually even print a PDF or a CSV or XML of the prior listing as well. So if you wanted to include that in your work file, so if somebody ever asked you down the road, how come you didn't use this comp or this property as a comp, you've got some supporting documentation. So you look at the prior photo as compared to the most recent photo, the information on both of the listings. There would be the information from the public remarks that you'd be able to compare. And if you do want to use this one as a comp, down here you could just say click and add to report. One of the coolest features that I love about this program is the ability to actually look at the photos side by side. So you can truly see what the inside of the home looked like before. So if it was a real knockdown, drag out property, and then it sold a month later, there's probably a good chance that it wasn't necessarily listed and sold for true market value. So you make that determination. If you're coming into the application directly, I know that I showed you the regression model a moment ago. The regression model is built into the application. However, I do recognize that a lot of our customers, especially appraisers, have built their own regression models. So you can actually download all of the data for all of these 230 plus comps to a CSV file, load that into your own Excel program or whichever application you're using for your regression or for your adjustments, and then come back into our application and enter your adjustments into our model. We don't take it personally. If you want to use your model versus ours, that's okay. Viewability, you could also view this as a grid. So sure, you're looking at a list, all of the properties. If you view the data as a grid, you'll have a little bit of insight as to what the properties look like from the outside, from the street. In this particular case, the agent chose to highlight the pool area. That's okay too. Now I've selected 15 comps. I can come in and look at my selected comps. And as I'd mentioned, you can look at a listing sheet for each and every one of them, print a listing sheet from here for each and every one of them. If I decided that I wanted to eliminate any of these, I could just unclick these and maybe go back and choose different comps that I want to use. You could also, with the similarity score that I was indicating before, you can override the score distribution. So I live in Freehold in New Jersey. Most of the properties are the same. Most of the properties are on decent sized lots. But if you're doing something in an area, let's say like Brooklyn, New York, lot size is not going to matter as much as living area, bedrooms or bathrooms, because every one of those lots is a tiny little lot. Same would apply if you were working in an area where there was very large lots, Montana or some of the plain states. So you're probably not going to want to really focus too much on those types of properties. So you can change the weighting, change the similarity scoring, and then update it and select from there. You could also filter your comps down. So if I brought back 232, I always recommend to keep your searches a little bit more generic, because once you start adding too many filters into your searches, that's when you wind up limiting your results. You're better off pulling in a larger pool, and then you can come in and filter from the results as opposed to filter on the search. So just a little point of reference there. And here's the current filters that were available on my search. So if I wanted to then filter those a little bit differently, let's say I wanted to filter my results from, I think I had, it was 300. So maybe I filter my results down to look at only properties that topped out at 700,000. So I could do that, click on apply filters, and you'll notice that the results page will change. So now, assuming I've got everything I need, I would move forward. If I decided I wanted to actually modify my search, it's as simple as just going back, clicking on modify search, adding additional filters. Maybe I didn't find enough comps, expand my radius. Maybe I wanted to narrow it down to a polygon, so you could actually change it to a polygon. Again, you're working within an order. The order is what's billable, so you never have to worry about incurring another cost as long as you're working with the same order ID, and the same property, subject property address. So now when I'm done, I've got everything I'm looking for on my search. Now I want to move forward. You would click on the bottom of this on the bottom of the screen was save and continue. So you would wind up coming back over into the actual report page. So this is the report itself. You could still edit from here before you finalize anything. So again, if there was anything that I wanted to take another look at, so my taxes are pretty in line, and it's consistent with the most recent public record. In a lot of cases, you'll have the MLS doesn't match up with the tax year. Every one of these fields is actually editable, as you'll notice down here. So if you wanted to fill in any of the blanks, if there was anything that might have been missing that you wanted to put into your end product, you could do that. You'll also notice that we label all the photos. So you can rest assured that if you're running through this, we're going to label the photos, tell you exactly what we see in those photos. Now, again, if you're looking at a photo that might be a little bit off, sometimes, especially when you're working with empty rooms, it may not necessarily identify it as a kitchen or a bedroom if there's no kitchen table in there, or if there's a refrigerator missing or something. But if you wanted to override, it's as simple as just selecting from the drop down and choosing the room, and that'll wind up going into your appraisal report. We also include zip level insights. So I mentioned earlier on in our conversation about a one search capability. So with one search of our data or of our application MCA, you'll get public record, listing data, 1004MC, image recognition, regression model, insights, analytics, you name it, all included in one search. And all of this would be exportable as well as available to go into your appraisal report itself. So the different options that you have when you're done with the report is you can print to a PDF. And if you selected include comp details, it'll include a listing sheet for each of the comps that you selected. So in my case, I had selected 15 comps. It'll give me a listing sheet for each of the 15 comps, as well as the full report that you see here. And if I wanted to include all comps, it'll give you a one-line list of all of the 200, and I think it was 232 comps that were available. That would all be exported in one large document for a PDF, and that you could use to insert into your work file, print it out, save it for your files. If you wanted to send it off to the bank directly, you can send that report off to the bank as well. There's a CSV option. You can either select the selected comps or all of the comps. If you are comfortable working with XML and you wanted to build your own application, that's an option. Mismo would be available for you to export if you had a need to bring it into, let's say, Alamode or Bradford. They accept Mismo, so we have a Mismo output available as well. ACI, and as I mentioned earlier, that's one of our partners. It's a single sign-on capability, but you could also take care of all of your work and then come back in here and select from the various reports that you wanted to insert into your ACI report. And then SFREP is another export that we're completing our integration with, should be done within the next couple of weeks. So that's the nuts and bolts of MCA. If you have any additional questions, my email is Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, @propmix.io, or you can call me directly, 732-682-6348. Looking forward to speaking with you all. Thanks for taking the time. Have a great day.